Hello and welcome to Chats, a television podcast, season 13, part 6, Chatzerless. This is the 6th series in our season on shows misfortunate enough to be canceled before airing their 13th episode, which we have been colloquially calling 13 Under 13. My name is Alan, and I'm joined by Dr. Murderface, who may have an unfortunate last name, but he's still the best cosmetic surgeon this side of Charm City. It's Magellan.
Hey, what's up?
And have you worked on any good faces lately? Who writes this? I swear.
Hey, I thought your face was pretty nice.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it's the DC universe is one where you can have any sort of last name and it doesn't have to define your career. Like Dr. Foot Doctor, who is a cardiologist. Hey, there's the laugh I'm looking for. That's the fuel it takes me to do this damn podcast.
That's
funny.
Oy.
We're still watching Powerless, folks, and I hope you've been watching along with us because it's an interesting show. If you don't know, Powerless is a DC Universe comedy sitcom starring Vanessa Hudgens, Danny Pudi, Ron Funches, Christina Kirk, and Alan Tudyk as the cast and crew of a superhero insurance agency, or an insurance agency in the DC Universe. And we're continuing to watch it. So, you want to just get right into it, bud?
Let's do that.
That's amazing, and I'm so excited to talk about these episodes with you. Like Van versus Emily, Dawn of Justice. We'll also be talking Green Furious and Emergency Punch-Up. First is Van versus Emily, Dawn of Justice. This episode was written by Greg Lisby and Jared Miller. It was directed by Jafar Mahmood. It was aired April 6, 2017. Now, Magellan Habibi, can you please tell me what happened in this episode that is named after a Zack Snyder film?
In this episode, when Emily has to put up a fight to get her own office, she challenges Van to a competition. Meanwhile, after Teddy's life is saved by Green Fury, he goes to great lengths to see her again. What do you think?
I'm having an existential crisis with this show.
Okay, say way more about that.
Way more? Yeah. So I take notes. We take notes here at Chats. It's fun. We get to deep dive on shows that don't always get a deep dive. I don't think there's any other Powerless podcast in human existence at this point, especially one that's covering it episode by episode.
Yeah.
And I watched this one, which is a totally bog standard, pretty good office comedy, whatever. It's fine. And I'm looking at my notes and I go, oh, Wendy wears a rainbow cake shirt in this episode. And then I had this whole like sidebar that I deleted from my notes that was like, why am I writing these notes? The show doesn't want me to take these notes. The show wants me to look at it and absorb it and like eat dinner while I'm watching it. I'm mad at myself for doing this. I regret taking part in this project. I hate, and then I was like, Van has an intern Steve deliver his toy arrows. Like, I had to like bathe myself in the truth that this show doesn't want us to deep dive into it, and then it allowed me to just have fun and watch a decent episode of television. What about you?
Yeah, this I don't know. I feel like the one thing I can say about Powerless is that I don't have any new complaints, you know? So I'm trying not to repeat myself too much and focus on the things that were fun. Because I did laugh and I was entertained, which I think is all that the show is trying to do. It's like aggressively trying to make clear to you that it doesn't have any other aspirations. But yeah, the same issues still apply of just like, what are we doing here? Why does this show? I watched these episodes with my girlfriend, and this was her first experience like focusing on Powerless, and so she kind of like reminded me anew of some of the complaints about the show. But she was just like, why does this show exist exactly? Or like, what does this company do? And it's like, yeah, they don't have answers to those fundamental questions, and we could sort of sit here and bemoan the fact that they don't, but the truth is that they don't. Like, they're just basic matters of why are we here? Why are these the characters we're watching? What are our objectives that, we're not addressing? So I think it's better to, not not expect the show to do that stuff and then talk about other things.
Yeah, I think we've kind of come to God with this show, and we can agree that it'll be more fun as a discussion if we just talk about what we liked and not try to like unravel the box of why this exists, because like network TV, broad series appeal, 2017 television, Ben Queen's final shot at at a TV show for now. We know all of these things. You've discussed all of them to death. Yeah. But what I did like this week was that the Gates of Hell is an office space in this building that Van sealed off because there was one spider in there. And so there has been a whole like office room that Emily wanted that she couldn't get into until she breaks in, because he was like, there is a spider. We have to give them that room. I love that. I think that's quite funny, because I've made that joke before, and Powerless is like in a weird enough space that they can take things that you say as a gag and just make them real life. And I enjoy that absurdity very much. Like, you joke like, okay, I guess that spider owns the bedroom now, and it's like, no, in this world the spider lives there. That's the spider's domain. Pretty good stuff. What were some early episode lines or moments that you enjoyed?
I think there was a couple Van things. I don't like. I think what I realized this time around is I don't love the way that they're doing Van as just another one of these characters who's like, I'm so rich that I don't know how much milk costs or whatever, and that's funny. But there were still a few things that he said in the course of like playing around with his childhood toys and being a spoiled brat that I thought were fun. I liked when Emily's asking for the office and he's like, sure, yeah, you've got it, no buts. And she's like, oh, okay. And he says, however. that was funny to me.
Yeah, that was good.
I liked when he was talking to somebody about My Little Pony, and they were talking about the toys, and he was talking about his actual little pony. And I think it was Christina Kirk's character. And she's like, oh, yeah, my daughter couldn't put them down. He's like, I put mine down. And then he takes out the urn of horse ashes and just shouts, horse cancer.
Yeah, so that joke, I was like, I'm glad that they took it as far as they did, because when she first said My Little Pony, my brain literally went like, he's going to say, like, I had a little pony. And that's going to be the gag. And they did that. And I was like, ugh, whatever. And then they kept going with it. Yeah. And it got to holding ashes and saying horse cancer. And I was like, oh, you thought about it.
So that was fun. And then I liked when he had a ring pop and he was like, give me a new ring pop. This one's down to the bone.
My favorite line of all three of these episodes. Another one of those, like, it's just so because I love specific lines that feel like a real person wrote this and thought this, like an Alan Tudyk got to deliver it. That's what I liked about it. It's not like particularly hilarious, but I was just like, oh yeah, I've never conceived of a ring pop being quote down to the bone, but it immediately makes sense. It felt like watching a really good TikTok where you're like, oh, my algorithm is like seeing me in a way that I never thought I could be seen.
Yeah.
What a weird thing to say. Like, in hindsight, I just put those words out loud. Oh, God. Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about Green Fury for a sec. What's the actress's name?
I forget, but I've seen her in a bunch of stuff.
She was Lucy in Parks and Rec.
Lucy in Parks and Rec is, probably where
Natalie Morales is the actress's name. It really feels like most of the Green Fury scenes are like, Natalie Morales is a pretty lady. Do you want to look at her in spandex in a green wig and be like, yeah, okay, I'm happy with this? And she's just like she has like very little charm in this. She just kind of stands there and is like, hey, what's up? I'm Green Fury. How's it going? She gets a little more to do in the second episode, but not much in this one.
Yeah, it's so interesting to see her do this performance because she usually plays characters who are like pretty grounded, and like in Parks and Rec, I think she was Aziz Ansari's character's love interest or something.
Yes. Yep.
And so that dynamic makes sense because she's kind of the grounding element of that duo. But she's like not doing something different here. She's doing that same sort of character, but she's dressed up as a superhero in a superhero world. I don't know. I think it's just representative of the tone of the show overall, where it's in this very splashy 4-color setting, and then we're trying to do the sort of like, you know, sarcastic office comedy stuff that feels like even more out of place because we have green hair and we shoot fireballs from our hands and stuff like that.
Yes.
So I think she's turning in a performance that lines up with other places that she's done that successfully, and also lines up honestly with the writing of the show, but the show itself does not line up with itself, which is what makes it weird.
That's a really good point. It's an odd like alignment issue almost.
Yeah.
But she's playing it like I think that she is trying to play like they got probably the right person for it, because it's like, oh, it's a normal world and she's normal, but she's just so aggressively like, hey guys, what's up? And it's like, you are a superhero. I feel that superheroes in this show should be a little bit more like, greetings, young man, like I'm here to help, and instead they're just like other people.
Yeah, because I liked how much what was the superhero in the first few episodes? What was her name?
Oh, the woman, the fire lady. I thought you were talking about the Olympian.
No, not the Olympian, but also the Olympian. But I liked how the previous superhero we were hanging out with was so mean to normal people. And I like how the Olympian, is very on a different planet, you know, not kind of down to earth. That's a funnier version of superheroes, as opposed to like, hey, I'm just another one of the characters, but I'm in a fancy suit. Didn't quite read.
No, agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then like Jack-O-Lantern is the like villain who we're talking about. That's like, haha, citizens of Charm City. Like, it's weird. Sometimes the superheroes are absurd, and sometimes they're just like a lady in a suit. And also Green Fury's power is just that she can fly and shoot fire out of her hands, which is more than enough. If anything, the meat and potatoes of this plot is that Teddy is like in a decent beginning of a relationship with a girl from like fake Tinder, and ignores her for the superhero, which is probably something that would happen a decent amount, unfortunately, right? Like, you form this parasocial relationship with a hero, and you're like, oh, I love them, they really matter to me. For all intents and purposes, they are my partner. And it's like, well, they don't know you, bud, and you don't. So he comes to reality by the end of the second episode. But it was also weird to me that this went 2 episodes, because in this one it just like ends. It's like, all right, Green Fury, we'll see you again.
Yeah.
I think they just had Morales for a couple days of shooting, and we're like, sure, we can write a 2-episode plot about this. That's interesting enough.
Yeah. It was like an unusual amount of continuity, but I guess there were some continuous elements of the first few episodes, it turns out.
That's true. This just more felt like a specific plot, not just like character details or storylines, but like if the like van bathroom plot went on for 2 episodes, it would feel similar, where I'm like, oh, I thought this could be resolved.
Yeah.
This is more interesting to me though than the Van. Sorry, that's my headcanon. My Van and Emily, because Vanessa Hudgens. The Van and Emily Green Arrow Darts competition. What's going on, Powerless? Come on. Do we just want our characters to fight and then at the end realize, oh, fuck, we work together. Oh, I forgot we actually work on a team and we should help each other. Like, I think the show is basically just trying to say that Van and Emily are very competitive, very type A people who like to be better than others and want to feel like powerful in their own little world. And that comes into contact with each other. And so by the end, they're like, oh, maybe we're better if we work together. And just the way we get there is through like a bunch of shooting plastic darts at targets or whatever.
Yeah.
And I don't know why we're doing this.
I don't know. There's this thing. First of all, throughout that whole plot line, Amanda's like calling out the plot beats 2 minutes before they happen. She's like, okay, now she's going to get mad and like win. Oh, now that she said that, she's not actually going to win. It's like, that's how this is moving. Yeah, I think the thing that's odd for me about this, and really odd for me about sitcoms broadly, like this is not a Powerless problem. This is like a 2010s sitcom problem, which is shows where characters are like so acerbic and flippantly mean to each other and to random characters around them. And then at the end of the episode, they hug and call each other a family. And
Yeah.
it's like, what are we doing here? Because, yeah, there's this competition that doesn't quite make sense, that feels mean and spiteful. And then at the end of the episode, Emily and Van are like buddies, but that's
Yeah.
your boss. Like, what do you mean? Why are you like pals? I don't know. It doesn't make sense. And Danny Pudi's character in this episode is all over the place and like cruel in a way that I didn't like. You know, it's just odd. And Amanda also during this scene was like, "Do they do any work here? Why are they all like playing this arrow game or whatever?" Kind of, I guess, kind of a funny. It's the Green Arrow game thing. We're making it a DC thing. I didn't hate that, but it's true.
Yeah, in universe, like darts being Green Arrow based, Green Arrow themed is quite funny.
Yeah.
It's just like to write a plot around it. Not they didn't really write a plot. It's just how they resolve their office conflict is through Green Arrow darts, which is like goofy. I agree though with a girlfriend of the podcast, Amanda, because like that's one how a lot of like tech companies work. Is like, do they actually do any work around here? And that's intentional, but also it's a sitcom, and if we watched them do work, we would fall asleep.
Yeah,
tough balance. Although the unaired pilot shows them doing work, and I was like, oh, kind of cool. I want to see insurance stuff happen, but I'm weird.
Yeah, I mean, I think the difference is like, I don't remember a scene in these 3 episodes of anybody doing work.
No, not at all.
Whereas like a show like The Office, yeah, you're not going to watch them really fully do their work, but everybody's at their desk like typing something or taking a phone call, or
That's a good
there's
point.
like papers getting printed. There's work happening. And pretty much everybody, when something wacky is going to happen, they're in the middle of like doing something. But anyway, I don't know.
Let's not belabor this episode. Let's move on to the second one.
Yeah. Let me just see if there's any little notes I had here. This show just continues to like say bad words a lot and do jokes that are like, oh, you're really saying that Van's prom date was a sex worker? Like, and that's something. That was the only other note that I had.
Go ahead. I'll make
just a little simple thing. I love how Ron Funches can elevate like really mid lines into something that is kind of fun. Like at the beginning, first scene when he goes, "Well, burrito toast to that." Nothing. That line is nothing.
Nothing.
But watching Ron Funches say it is truly a delight.
Yes, absolutely. I don't know how he does it. It's a magic. He has a skill. I was going to say that this show sometimes feels like you're digging through the bargain bin at the Goodwill, and you're like, what is this? They need a 12 episode series about superhero insurance companies? Like, let's watch this. Oh, it's so dated and corny and weird, and it's like, do they actually do anything on the show? It feels like a bargain bin find to me. Unfortunately, I think that's the overarching feeling with Ben Queen's shows. I know again, this was a like he made it or like show ran for a little while and then left. I'm aware of that, but like show that like has a decent premise. You're like, huh, interesting, and then you watch it and you're like, what? What is this? Why did they make this? is the feeling. IMO. Yeah. Did you have any other notes?
No, that was it for this one.
Amazing. I want to talk next about Green Furious. This is the second episode. It's episode 8. It was written by Dean Lowry, directed by Michael McDonald, the voice of Gandhi in Clone High in the original, not in the reboot, because there's no more Gandhi. And it aired April 13th, 2017.
They got rid of Gandhi?
Oh yeah.
Oh, because it's like kind of weird, or
that was the reason the show got canceled. Was people were offended by Gandhi's portrayal.
Oh,
that was like the reason.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, Indians and Hindu people were like, and it is like a pretty offensive portrayal, to be fair. Also voiced
Sure,
by a white guy. All like voiced by Michael McDonald.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for our Clone High rewatch. No. I am watching the
I
reboot
would-
though. We'll talk
I
about that
would-
later.
You don't want to watch it?
You want to make a video? I would watch it. Sure.
Would it be
It's short.
interesting to do? Should you watch on that?
Let's talk after the episode.
Okay, that's all right. Go ahead. Let's start next.
I'm asking you what happened in Green Furious.
Oh, sure you are.
Yeah, I really am.
In this episode, Emily takes a stand in her first board meeting and must deliver on a big idea with the help of superheroine Green Fury. Meanwhile, Teddy tries to find a way to get Green Fury's attention. Elsewhere, Jackie brings her daughter to work, but starts to get worried when she bonds with Wendy. What do you think of this one?
Totally forgettable. Completely forgettable. I like watched it. It went into my brain, and I was like, okay. And then we made a lot of feminism jokes, and then the episode was over. What is going on? 2017. I thought it was funny that we open with Emily getting rescued by Green Fury, and there's this like hero pose, like she like holds Emily, and naturally my queer ass brain was like, oh my god, girlfriends, ha 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 ha. Anyways, let me divert my attention from the show. Look at my phone. I look up and there's a newspaper report that's like, are Green Fury and a random bystander dating? And I was like, what? Wait, get out of my brain. Leave me alone. Because in this, we also learned that Green Fury just got out of a relationship with the Olympian, tying all of our superheroes in Charm City back to each other. I wish we could have seen them as a couple for like, because I think that they would be funny together. We get a little bit of the Olympian, I think, in this episode, or maybe in in the first one, when Teddy is trying to like jump off of a building to get rescued, and the Olympian rescues him. I actually forgot about the scene. This was kind of funny. And the Olympian rescues him, and he's like, "You're welcome. I saved your life." And he's like, "Yeah, thanks." And the Olympian's like, "You don't seem happy about it." He's like, "Yeah, whatever. Just leave me alone. You're not the cute girl I want." Because you have to imagine that that's happening in the DC world. Is like, I hope if I get it, put myself in danger, maybe the cute one will rescue me, or maybe I should like fake danger or something. Like he throws a crash test dummy off of the building with him or something. Highly silly behavior. Yeah. I think that the standout plot from this one though was Jackie and her daughter Ruby, because the actress who plays Ruby is so cute and funny, and they gave Wendy something to do. How often have I said, give Wendy something to do in the show, literally at all? And they said, okay, she's kind of like an adult child. And that there's a comedy to that by literally putting her with a child. And, you know, we escalate. And by the time we get to Ruby and Wendy cutting fake Superman's penis off, I was like, yes, this has come full circle. I'm satisfied with this plot line.
Yeah, that was a big laugh. The moment where it's like, oh, we were emasculating Superman.
Playing pretend. I thought, yeah, that's like what a kid would do. Not like emasculate necessarily, but just like mess with a dummy or whatever.
I forgot a big laugh that I had in the first episode, by the way, which was Alan Tudyk when Van is so broken down that he starts sneezing badly, and he like the way that he sneezes is like pathetic, and he has one at the end of the first episode that's really funny.
Now get out of my office because I'm about to sneeze.
Oh.
I'm gonna sneeze. Get out! Oh, good, it's gone. That wasn't that bad.
Did you have any thoughts on Jackie, Ruby, Wendy stuff?
You know, I think I like it in concept that we're gonna get Jackie and Wendy to hang out and have an episode together. It's one of those sitcom things of shuffling the deck and seeing who works. That really just further emphasizes that Christina Kirk is like carrying the emotional core of this show.
You never would have thought it from A to Z, huh?
Yeah, right. But she is putting the show on her back and making something matter. Yeah, I think it's resolved weirdly quickly when her daughter is far too precocious and says, well, somebody was insulting you and I just felt that blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, I guess we put this kid in therapy early. That's pretty good.
Right.
But I thought it was funny. I thought there was good antics. I don't love Wendy as a character and the things that she says, but we discussed that last time.
Yeah.
It's just like, horny woman. That's pretty funny.
The way she's horny to Van especially creeps me out every time.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought this was like a good idea for a C plot that they did what they needed to with. So I liked it fine.
I want to see Jenny Pearson in more stuff. If anyone knows, that's the actress who plays Wendy. If anyone knows something that she's really funny in, I don't want to watch Mike and Dave Need Wedding Dates unless I know it's really good. That sounds not good.
Yeah, I'm sure she's hilarious with better material. And she also strikes me as someone who probably improvises well.
Does improv? I have the same feeling. I'm like Comedy Bang Bang, Jenny Pearson. Hold on. Wait, Comedy Bang. There's no way. Oh, she was on the show.
Yeah, I believe.
Yeah, she was on the show. Okay, yeah, that's true. Good catch. Meanwhile, in Emily's plotline, she hates these sketchy board meetings where a bunch of rich guys laugh and say stupid things. They're talking about how they need a spokesperson for this new poncho that's like the Wayne Industries poncho. It's invincible. You can save you from a bunch of damage. And they're like, we need a spokesperson, someone really strong that represents the city. And then someone says, Kevin James. And then someone else goes, he is the King of Queens. Which, like, 2017 King of Queens reference dates like fine milk. I love to see it.
Yeah. So that's something.
It works for me. But yeah, this is just Emily getting a chance to girl boss really hard. Hey, we need to sell this poncho. The reason it's not selling is we don't have a face for it. People don't know who's wearing it. And so she takes it upon herself to reach out to Green Fury. Hey, will you do this with me? Will you do the sponsorship? No, I'm not a sellout. They offer her a commercial deal where she has to be naked, and they don't handle how fucked this is, but it's a sitcom, so they're not beholden to that.
Right.
But it's weird that the executives are like, yeah, and you take it off and there's nothing under it. Ha 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 ha, gross, right? But, they do say, like, that's gross, we're not going to do that. And instead, we'll have someone else be naked. And the commercial that ends up coming out with the Olympian ends up being pretty funny. Yeah,
I liked where they ended it. When he's all like sudsy and rubbing on the car. Amanda's like, Are you watching this right now? What just happened? But I think that was a smart resolution. I agree though. All of the like misogynist joking stuff is just not funny. Like, it's not funny because this is just real. Like, there are people like that who are a little more subtle than the board member guy, right, but like functionally do similar things in the world. So
that's the thing with doing this joke, and the reason why it rubs us weird is like, that's not too far from real. That's not far enough, actually. Sorry to say, especially after Me Too, like jokes about men being abhorrent towards women in a corporate setting is like, yes.
Yeah. And also when you are this show and you're dressing Green Fury in the way that you are, like, you're not so much better than what this character's saying. You know what I mean?
For sure.
So it's so weird. It's weird.
When did the Me Too movement really hit a groundswell?
I think around this time, a little bit before this, maybe.
Yeah. Weird, huh? That there's also multiple jokes in this series about Lena Dunham being a weird. What's going on? Teddy, this Teddy stuff sucks, by the way. He tries to, speaking of Me Too and like bad, shitty men, Teddy, to impress Green Fury, is like, I'm going to be, and this is his words, a tough but sensitive woke feminist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is like conservative comedy. Like the whole gag about guy liner. Yeah. It's like, who wrote this? This is some reactionary stuff.
It really is. And it's not particular. I don't know who's Dean Laurie. Come at me, respectfully.
Yeah, but this feels very 2010s. Like, we're gonna make fun of Trumpian type people, but we're also gonna make fun of these liberals who are just they're doing too much.
punching
that
down
kind of thing.
really hard. Yeah.
I don't like it.
So his woke feminist persona is like, oh, and it talks about like Game of Thrones, like, oh, the nudity is gratuitous, which is like, again, a joke that dates itself so freaking much.
Right.
The Game of Thrones like nudity discourse brings me back.
Yeah.
HBO shows that is the network that hosts Lena Dunham, blah 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 blah. Weird. Why do you guys have a weird thing against her? I guess it was just popular to dunk on her for a while. She did some weird stuff, but regardless, just dunking on one person. I don't like this persona. I don't have any lines written about it. I just wish that they would let Danny Pudi do something that makes me not angry.
Same.
Or embarrassed to see him. God, that's all I have. Wow, I've hit every single note. Oh my God. Do you have anything else?
There's that weird moment where they make Alan Tudyk say "dump yo ass," and I didn't love watching him say that in that way. That
like the
felt
AAVE
weird.
of it?
Yeah. That's just like a very 2017 thing of, this is how we're talking on TikTok or whatever because we're appropriating, and he looked uncomfortable saying
That's the thing. That's totally right. Yeah, I agree.
I did think the only thing I thought was funny about the guy liner, I'm a feminist thing, is that Teddy calls himself Theo in that persona. That is like a subtle thing that I thought was kind of funny.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much it. I've enjoyed the Olympian, and it'll be sad to see him go. Just this, this sweet himbo of a superhero.
Exactly. If they leaned a little bit more into that, I would appreciate every single Olympian scene way more.
Mm-hmm.
Just make him a big dumb boy. I'd be fine with him. Who doesn't work for the company? Definitely doesn't work for them.
Right.
Do you want to take it to a musical break then?
Let's do it. Let's take a break.
Okay, we'll be right back after this brief break to talk about Emergency Punch-Up.
Welcome back to Chatzerless. We watched a third episode of Powerless this week. It was episode 9 of season 1. Sorry, the one and only season. I'm sorry, Powerless. It was called Emergency Punch-Up, written by Lillian Yu, directed by Linda Mendoza. It aired on April 20th, 2017. Alan, what happened in Emergency Punch-Up?
Wait, there's an episode about toxic gas on 420. In this episode, the team gears up to leave for a company retreat when supervillain Dr. Psycho, PhD, releases a toxic gas in Charm City. Meanwhile, Emily does her best to make the most of a terrible situation. Better? I thought this one was better than before? What? What's going on, Powerless? He's figuring out how to make your ensemble funny? Here's the thing, bud. Like, why do I talk like this? What persona am I doing? Somebody in our Discord mentioned that, like, why are the side characters here? The grunts, the goons, and like, could they just be one person? They don't really have distinct. They do have distinct personalities, but not always. They also don't like motivate the plot. It felt like in this episode it was all about them and like our main cast just hanging out with each other and not trying to like go separate into their own little storylines. It was just an ensemble episode, and I liked that about it. The ensemble got to be funny. We did some movie pastiches that were okay. We got some heightened absurd comedy. This mostly worked for me.
Yeah.
What about you?
They did this felt like a season 4 Community episode.
Yeah.
Like somebody is looking at what made Community good, and they're like, okay, all right, so there's sort of a movie thing, and there's like a gas, and it's a bottle episode, and we're mad, but we come together at the end. Got it. And it doesn't quite have whatever that thing is that made those episodes work in Community, but it's not relative to what it could have been, though it's not bad. Like I enjoyed this one, I think, more than the other two. But yeah, it definitely feels like a post-Community episode to me anyway. Because I could recognize a few of the, the gas thing was kind of like the Halloween episode where there's a weird gas that turns people to zombies.
Yeah.
It being a bottle episode felt like that. I mean, this is literally a gas leak plot. I guess like season 4 is the gas leak season, so that's kind of funny. Anyway, but yeah, I thought this one was decent, and there were some fun elements in it.
It opens with a couple of mediocre jokes though, back to back. I believe it's Ron who's like listening to or watching a documentary series that's supposed to be like a true crime thing about Dr. Psycho, and Teddy is like, don't you know that Dr. Psycho is like a bad guy? And he's like, how can he be bad? He's got doctor in his name, which is again like Ron Funches is funny. That line is fine. Dr. Psycho, he went to medical school. It's like a line that's stuck in my head just because the way he says it is good.
Right.
They talk about spoiler culture. Like this old woman walks by and she's like, I can't believe that he got off innocent. And then Ron is like, oh, Tina, but he then also calls her the B word again. And I'm like,
I know they use it in every episode. Why do they keep saying that word?
Are we just like not familiar enough with network TV and this is actually how it's been for a while, or did they finally stop doing this?
Maybe, yeah, because I would imagine I feel like every sitcom that we've dipped our toes into from this era of time is like bad in this way, so that might just be the case. But I think what's weird to me about it is it's this like DC show,
Yeah.
So it feels like there would be a tighter control over words like that, because it's not like I don't know, I might be wrong, like you're saying, and it might be the case that just shows use these words now, but it feels like they're going out of their way to say that stuff, like because Amanda was next to me and she's like, oh, this show is vulgar. Like I'm surprised at its vulgarity. So it feels like they're making a point of doing that, which almost feels like then the purpose is, yeah, you think this is a DC show, but we're going to curse because we're like the funny DC show.
But they can't say like cool curse words. They have to say the like gross ones.
Yeah, like pussy, and sorry that I just said that, but they say that word in one of the other episodes. So it's just like, okay, please stop.
But meanwhile, when we're not making vulgar jokes, Jackie references the fact that she goes to Talbot's. That's where she gets her good clothing deals. Shout outs to Talbot's. That's the best store for women in their 40s to 60s, honestly. It's a women's clothing store. I have been inside of a Talbot's before. It's great. Love that. The weirdest runner of this episode, though, is that Van is trying to be funny on this retreat that they were going to go on. Like, oh, we're going to go. It's the best retreat in the world. We're going to have food and hot tubs and sports and games and everything. And Emily's like, oh, it's going to be karaoke. And they're like, no, fuck that. He wants people to think he's funny. So he hires two like intern comedy writers to basically feed him jokes, which like, I think the show knows how meta this is, but it feels so weird realizing that the show is a bunch of comedy writers doing this, and then just in universe now Van has that. I'm like, this is one layer too meta for me, actually. That's how I felt about it.
I don't know. That worked for me, but I can understand that being kind of strange.
The fact that they stuck with it worked for me. If they had just done the first couple like good zinger, wow, haha, good zinger, great zinger, I'm like, the whole show is zingers, like this is not funny. But when it was like one of the comedy writers is the serious one and he dies and the gas explode, or the comedic one dies in the gas, and the serious one has to write jokes, it was like, okay, this worked. This looped around to funny.
Yeah, but that's also like that's another thing that's very Community to me, of like, this is an extremely meta concept that we're gonna then take totally seriously and like understand the ramifications of it within the world, which I think is also why it worked for me, because it felt reminiscent of things that I like. Like the digs at the Harvard Lampoon in there.
Oh, I didn't catch that. I know I did. I did catch that.
When Van was like, "What a great use of a Harvard education or something like that.
Yeah. I had a hard laugh this week.
Okay, I want to hear it.
I mean, I want to drop the clip as well, but it's Teddy doing the alarm that indicates that that there isn't a lockdown, but that we're in an alternate Nazi-occupied universe.
Which alarm is that? Zombie virus?
Alien invasion. Giant spider robots from another dimension where the Nazis won?
No, that one goes ew, ew, ew.
That's the right absurd. It's like a little much, but that's why it hit me so hard. Was like, holy shit, Danny Putty doing like specifically a Nazi-occupied universe alarm was like very funny to me. I don't know.
Yeah, and that's one of those things that I wish the show did more of, not that joke is stellar, but it's a joke about being in the DC universe, which you would want this show to do more of. Like, I'm not a DC person, so I don't know a lot of stuff, but it's my understanding that the show pretty much never makes use of its setting to like tell jokes.
Not really. Not in a meaningful way.
Which is, I think, if I was watching this as it was airing and I had been sold on this is like DC's first sitcom, I think I would have wanted, humor related to the thing that I like, which is just not here. But that joke is an example of something like that works that I wish they did more of.
Yeah, and the other stuff that I liked was less DC University and more like committing to these characters and what they want, like giving characters desires, because Emily in the background is constantly saying, oh, this retreat would have been really fun. I had all this stuff planned. I love to do like she likes the stuff that no one else likes to do. That's her character. And once we have this gas attack, whatever, from Dr. Psycho, and everyone's stuck in the office, she's the one who steps up and says like, oh, I actually have like a fake office retreat setting just ready to go. I'll gladly set that up for you guys, and we can like make a retreat in the office, which is like sincerely a nice thing to do. It's a little weird that you have that, but like that's really considerate and like kind of you, and nobody appreciates it. And I'm like, man, that sucks. In the back of my head, I'm like, no, they're never going to say anything about this. And as the episode plays out, and then she gets, infected with the gas, we learn that it's a truth serum, or it's a truth gas. And she's basically like, you guys are all ungrateful. I did all this work for you, and nobody appreciates anything I do. And I was like, whoa, the show knows what its characters do and cares about that for once. I think I did really enjoy the honesty from Emily finally, of like, yeah, I know I'm weird, but like none of you guys were going to do anything, you assholes. Like, you were just going to sit around and get drunk, as they talk about getting drunk on tiki drinks. And the only reason they like her is because they're drunk, which is so mean. But yeah, once we do the gas thing, we have this nice little extended bit where Ron is told to like put on a suit that's like a bucket with a hole in it and go into the gas leaked room to get Emily out, and does the classic like pull twice if you need to be rescued. And when he gets quote unquote attacked by Emily and he comes out, he goes, she was so mean. She was not, because she's not going to eat him obviously, but she is like going to be brutally honest to him.
Yeah, that was fun.
I think Ron was the correct person to do that bit.
Yeah, I think so too.
I forgot to mention this one from the Green Furious episode, but why do we always forget things? I don't know. Ron mentions at one point that he's one of only 2 black men at the company, which is like, once again, we're doing the joke of like Ron's the only black person on the cast, the only person, one of the only people of color in the office, and then specifically like, it's me and the other guy, and like that is a joke that can be funny if handled by the correct writer. It's like, it's me and the one other guy, haha. But it just felt really awkward and like clunky in that.
Yeah.
So I continue to think that Ron is funny when he's this like silly guy, innocent guy, and not the one.
Yeah, that's fair, I think. That gag got a little laugh out of me. But I do agree that it's just not the best.
It's an okay joke on paper. I just feel like
Ron to be doing.
Yes. I also noted a couple things about Emily under the gas and under the influence of the gas. She says fuck, it's censored, but she does say it canonically. So we know that Emily can say bad words. They keep ring lighting Emily, especially in this episode. It literally, there are shots where you look at Vanessa Hudgens' eyes and it looks like they shot a ring light into her face. And I don't understand why, if that's like for an effect or what, but it looks very eerie and made her look like a zombie, which is why I thought for most of this episode, like, is this going to be a zombie thing actually? But no, it's just the truth.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they're just trying to make her. I think they're trying to continue to emphasize this sort of like, wow, Charm City, like that's her persona, and the lighting serves that, I think, and this very affected, like highly enunciated performance she's doing also serves that. But then
literally
it's
wide-eyed,
kind of strange. Yes, exactly.
So we do the aliens thing. My fun little detail note about this was that they have a radio system to talk to Ron, and it sounds kind of cool. And then I was like, what is the radio? What did they put on him? And when he takes the helmet off, it's just a cell phone taped to his head. They're just on a call with him. I liked that detail.
Yeah.
And of course, the episode has to be very silly. Do you think the Community would have done a bit like this, where everyone does Kelly Clarkson for 3 minutes?
Yes. I think so.
I think they could have picked up more. Oh, the song is fine. Whatever. Licensing music, I know. But yeah, they finally do the thing that it would have taken to make Emily happy, which is they sing Since You've Been Gone by Kelly Clarkson. She comes out of the gas room. We're saved. Everyone's fine. Not to be that person, but I'm going to be, because it's a DC show also. But they keep opening the door to the gas room, and like that's gas like disperses quickly. You don't get like a little bit of gas and then you're fine. It's like
yeah.
And then she comes out and like opens the door, whatever. Anyways, she belts. Vanessa Hudgens getting to belt Since You've Been Gone. Sincere smile out of Alan. So
yeah, it's a nice moment. I mean, very written for her and her strengths, which is fun.
Oh, High School Musical. I forgot she was in High School Musical.
Yeah, that's like the thing.
That's the thing. Yeah. Can you give me some notes, because I've expended my emergency punch-up jokes.
There was this random bit where they were introducing the joke writers and saying that they wrote for the Harvard Lampoon and that they work on The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody as
really
like
good.
Their credits, and that was funny to me, because that also felt like maybe one of the actual writers of this show, that's their real resume, and they just are making fun of themselves. So I thought that was nice. I didn't take a lot of other notes, to be honest, on this one, but that was the one joke we didn't mention. That was like a big laugh from me.
I think it says you didn't appreciate the Nazi joke as much as I did. I think that relating it back to the gas stuff is weird.
I didn't like that we were 2 breaths in between alternate Nazi timeline and there's gas, but I think that was just an oversight on the part of the script.
Yes, it just happens to intersect awkwardly.
Yeah.
Linda Mendoza, who directed this episode, did a lot of TV. I don't think she did not do The Sweet Life though. And the writer Lillian Yu did not. She has very few credits to her name. Oh, Linda did like Scrubs and a bunch of stuff, whole bunch of stuff. What episodes of Scrubs did she do? I'm getting out of here. Anything else, Miguel?
No, that's it for this one, I think.
Incredible, amazing. You're a legend, and I love you for it. And don't forget that. That's all we have for this week, folks. Majan, do you want to tell people what we're watching next week on Chatzerless?
Surely. Next time we are concluding our coverage of Powerless by talking about the last 3 episodes of the show, episodes 10, 11, and 12. First off, we're watching episode 10, No Consequence Day. In the wake of Lois Lane's death. In the wake of Lois Lane's death, Ron inspires the team to test out an intriguing theory. Also, Emily and Wendy get in trouble with the law. Jackie takes up drinking, and Teddy makes a power move. Whoa, okay, that is going to be a weird episode. Then episode 11, Win, Luther, Draw. An alien attack damages the Gotham headquarters and threatens the future of Wayne's security. Chairman West delivers some unfortunate news to Van and Emily. Jackie gets a surprise that will change
Oh,
her life. Sorry,
Oh.
the preview got cut off, so I had to open it, but it's just change her life. And then last one, episode 12, Van of the Year. Emily is furious when she discovers Van has taken the credit for Emily's generosity at the office. Meanwhile, Ron is encouraged to reveal his new invention to the public. So
Sounds
that's
like-
it. So we'll conclude Powerless next week.
it sounds like a business as usual episode and not a finale.
Yeah.
Because this probably would have been at 22 or 23. 26.
You know what's weird? So the Google preview just now listed those episodes in that way, but for some reason Wikipedia lists those two episodes swapped and has the alien attack Jackie Gets Surprising News one as the last episode.
Oh.
So we will have to I think Emergency Punch Up was the last one to air on television.
Oh, was it like these hit the internet kind of thing?
Yeah, the last three hit on demand services.
What?
So we'll have to figure out what order they're supposed to be watched in. But
Okay.
Wikipedia has a different order than that Google preview that I was reading from.
Well, thankfully we're watching all three. It's not like we're gonna have two, and then actually the fake finale is last. Like we'll discuss all of them in a batch tomorrow, and then we'll discuss which one should actually be the finale. We think.
Yeah.
Great. We'll also have a guest next week, which I'm excited about.
Yeah, that'll be great.
You good, Michelle?
Sorry, I'm reading a production note. The episode Emergency Punch Up was mistakenly aired instead of Van v. Emily Dawn of Justice in Canada, several regions of the US, and on the NBC website. The running order had been changed because of the prominence of a chemical gas attack in the episode, which similarly occurred in Syria just before the episode was aired. And
I
then
did read
there's
that.
this other thing. When Luther Draw was released on the YouTube channel on June 16, 2017, a week after West, which I assume is Adam West's death.
Oh, that's sad. Was this Powerless thing like one of the last things he worked on?
Yeah, he is in When Luther Draw.
No kidding.
He
Oh my
comes
God.
in as the chairman of the company. So
Oh my God, that's wild. June 2017,
then-
he passed away.
he passed away. Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, well, we'll talk about it. That's interesting.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Adam West. Lots to discuss next week, folks. Come back for all of that.
Yeah. Also wanted to remind folks, we announced this at the beginning of last week's episode, but we are currently welcoming your votes and thoughts on season 16. So if you remember, we described it as our kind of tournament season where we have put together a poll, which is in the show notes, of 32 shows that we want you to, give a thumbs up, a thumbs middle, or a thumbs down on. We'll take the top 16, seed them into a bracket, and then we will spend the beginning of season 16 having those shows match up against each other until we end up with the winning show that we will complete throughout the rest of season 16. So that season starts in a couple weeks. Make sure that you get your votes in before, let's say, like June 17th. And then, so like that's in a little less than a week from now. But yeah, let us know what you want us to cover and what you're enthusiastic about. That'll help us to set that bracket up and get that season off to a strong start.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Incroyable. So yeah, get voting, folks. We want it. Rock the vote, as they say. Great. Majon, I'd like to ask you then, as my friend, where can people find you on podcasts beyond this one?
You can find me on Super Smash Echoes, a video game podcast that I do with my friend Justin about games that are related to or a part of the Super Smash Brothers franchise, Super Smash Echoes. Check it out. Alan, what about you?
I'm on a few podcasts. If you check out scanlinemedia.com, you can hear me on a number of shows over there, like The Creature Quorum, which is a Monster Hunter and Pokemon podcast, or Oops More Anime, which is a Gundam podcast. And I'm doing more stuff with them in the future. I also am the main host of Talking Marketing, a bi-monthly marketing podcast hosted by AMA Boston. So you can find those wherever you listen to podcasts. I can take the plugs on this week if you don't mind, bud.
Go for it.
If you have questions, comments, or concerns about the show, send us an email, chatspod@gmail.com. That's CHATCPOD. We have a Twitter account for now. It's @chatspod, CHATCPOD. Once again, if you are on YouTube, consider subscribing to Chats, the television podcast. There, we post episodes of Should You Watch, our tri-monthly new TV show recommendation podcast, and we'll have more on there in the future. If you enjoyed Chats and want to give us some support or support us in any way that you can, we'd appreciate that. We have pages on Apple Podcasts and Spotify where you can rate and review the show to get the algorithm in our favor. We have a Patreon, which is patreon.com/chatspod. We're at $1, $3, and $5 a month. You have different tiers of content from us, bonus content including discussions about our lives and what we think beyond TV, pilot chats where, similar to next season, we're watching pilots, except those don't necessarily go to production every time, but sometimes they do. We have piloted over there shows that got covered on the main feed. We also do commentary chats over there where every month people vote based on a theme, and we watch movies usually based on those themes. So we have a lot of really great content over there. All of that is in our $3 tier, and at our $5 tier you get all of that plus a thank you at the end of every main feed episode of the show. And as of today, our $5 patrons include Arthur, Emeris, Jen, Justin, Kat, Lee, Magellan's mom, Marcus, May Louise, Michael, Nick and Pat of the Brothers at Infinite War, Six, and Stefan. Thank you guys so much for supporting Chats. We appreciate you. Everything Chats can be found at chatspod.com. And if you like our main feed podcast art, it was done by our friend Camilla, who can be found at Camillastrator on all of the social media platforms. And before we take it home, we have one final segment. It's called Chatsums, where, like the Vlasic snacking pickle, we each recommend you something or some things to enjoy between now and the next episode of Chats. That being said, Magellan, what is or are your Chatsums for this week?
So I'm still playing tons of Tears of the Kingdom, and if you're not playing it, you should. And I'm still in kind of the YouTube zone of watching Zelda content. And I ended up coming across a YouTube channel that I want to recommend that's sort of tangential to that. It's called 8-Bit Music Theory.
Oh,
and it's basically a channel that does music theory videos focused on video game music, which is pretty fun. And I came across the channel because of a video called How Creative Limitations Shaped Ocarina of Time's Best Music, which I think is a really great video and a good introduction to the channel. So if you're interested in music and music theory and video games, it's really good. So check it out.
It. Yeah. That was your quote unquote okay Chatsum that you mentioned earlier?
No, I came up with that as an actual good Chatsum.
Okay. I thought you were going to be like, yeah, this great channel that made me happy. It's like fun, I guess. Groomby. I have a couple quickie Chatsums then.
Okay, yeah, what do you got?
I have an anti-Chatsum, first of all. These are very rare because we like to be relatively positive when we need to be here on Chats, located in sunny Charm City. But I need to recommend y'all don't watch the new Little Mermaid. I know it's a live-action Disney movie, and they're usually bad or mediocre, but this one in particular just like bummed me out. I watched it with my sister because we both are like we were childhood Disney fans, and she loved the Little Mermaid a lot as a kid, and I was like, oh, it'll be a fun like afternoon activity. And while it was definitely fun, I mean, I like smiled. I got emotionally invested when they did the songs that I know. Part of Your World is just a good song, and hearing Halle Bailey perform it is great. I think she's the best part of that movie by a long shot, obviously. So much controversy around her casting, but she does a pretty damn good job as Ariel. I think everything around it and everything that they added to the original movie is awkward, slow-paced, and annoying. And plenty of people are dunking on this online, so I don't need to dogpile it, but there is a rap song written by Lin-Manuel Miranda and sung by a seagull in that movie that is voiced by Aquafina doing AAVE that is so bad that it like I looked to people on my left and right and was like, am I looking at this? Is this really happening? It's just absurdly bad. So don't watch The Little Mermaid. But, if you do, you're not going to be miserable, but just, you don't need to. You're fine. Just watch the original. It's fine. It's there. But golly, we talked about it earlier, but Clone High, I caught up on the reboot that just started over on Max, the newly branded Max streaming service. The reboot is like decent so far. I mean, maybe we should talk about this, again for like future should you watch consideration. But Magellan and I and our friend Jim were big fans of the original Clone High in like college, and we quoted it a lot and loved it very much. Most of it holds up quite well, but the new show in a lot of ways is about like how hard it is for comedy to age, and how like characters like these clones may have made more sense in the past and how they have to be reframed, recontextualized in the present. Because the idea is like these clones that were resurrected forms of, or cloned forms of famous people from history are teenagers in high school, but all of the original cast were literally frozen in universe for 20 years. And so when they get unfrozen, it's like, well, you know, what is the world like now? What are we no longer allowed to say? And it doesn't feel like it's too like cancel culture is bad. It more feels like, oh, we actually have to change meaningfully to exist in this world. So it's a tentative thumbs up for me from 2 episodes in. But it also, I rewatched some of the original and I was like, you know, some of these jokes still hold up. That's all I have for now. I had a third one, but I want to save it for when I've watched/read more of it. So I'm cooking another chat on you guys.
Okay, great.
That's all we have, folks. Thank you so much to Magellan for being the Dr. Psycho to my Theo. And thank you so much to everybody out there in the universe for listening to Chats. Bye-bye. We're powering off.
Bye.
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 Bye.